the et, and along with Pashta, this is going to push us forward. Special tactics, K'der La'omer, applied in special situations, and along with regular methods of military actions, he accompanied his new order as emphasized by the directional shape of the reading mark.
New order, what do you think? Like a new world order. Look how that word comes up again. New world order.
So he's going to move forward. Ha'emim, the emim with the two-part katon. Those known as the emim.
That is mentioned later on in Tanakh, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. The terrible.
When they're conquering Israel already, and
he confronted with shocking attacks and cruel actions as portrayed by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. Ema is like fear. Abject fear. Okay, and he says NB Emim Ema fear horror. So
the Emim were, but they lost. He's defeating them. The way he defeated the Rephaim is defeating now the Emim, right?
So again, you know, the tactic was to beat up the strongest guy first,
right?
And therefore, those people who moved really fast became demoralized, and he could corner them, and those people who again were just in fear, he could attack them even if they weren't fast. Bishaveh, by Shaveh.
Is this Emek HaShaveh that comes later or before?
With the tikha, with a backwards-looking note, with a pause afterwards. The commander of the expedition responded by Shaveh, Bishaveh, by equal, just as the Emim did or would do, equaling with the ground all positions and supplies of the adversary, as manifested by the reverse inclination of the directional reading mark. So he managed to get them the same way that he got the Emim before. So he managed to
get who's he getting? No.
So who's
he? Nimrod? Don't use pronouns because there's too many people.
Nimrod.
It's under his guidance, but he's talking specifically about the commander of this particular, as his expedition, this thing to go get the Emim.
Right.
So he's saying he matched them. He matched their capabilities. He matched all their resources. And that's
so again, Nimrod is Amraphel, the guy who's in charge of the group.
Right.
Kedar Laomer is the war general.
Oh, he's a different
guy. Kedar Laomer is not Nimrod.
Right, they're not
Nimrod. So Kedar Laomer is the war general, and what he's saying is he's using various tactics and shifting tactics based on the way that each particular group is trying to defend itself. So he has strategies to deal with everybody. And we're going group by group and saying how their name says what tactic he might have used against them. Or the name of the place defines the tactic.
So what you're saying, Shaveh, how's that?
So
he equally defeated them all, you're saying? Shaveh meaning equal. And later when they make the people, when they come out, Emek HaShaveh, that comes later. So in modern Hebrew, that's the compromise. To Emek HaShaveh, that's where it comes from. When two people compromise with something, they say they're Ba'al Emek HaShaveh. That's what they're going to do.
So I think here he's starting to say matching strength for strength. So in some of the other places he's going with overwhelming force by cornering small groups, and in some of the places he's just matching army for army, and yet he still manages to overcome. And it doesn't say what.
Or whatever their advantage is. He figures out what their advantage is and matches it. So take away the strength of their advantage. But as Jeff pointed out, for each group he's identifying their talents, capabilities, and he's overcoming them group by group. As you probably know, in the ancient world it's very common to have large armies of many different distinct groups, not unlike in World War, right? People from different countries, different skills. And each one was known for doing a certain thing. Right? So say, I'm going to pick you guys apart one by one by one.
So he matched them, whatever they were.
Yeah.
He matched them. That's the Shabbat. And here's
Kiryatayim, so literally, Kirya is a city. Kiryatayim is two cities. So also similar with the goal, with the stabilizing Sof Pasuk, also similar was the goal of Kiryatayim, of cities, which were occupied by the Emim, they were totally destroyed. So again, both when they're in the field and when they're in the city, he's defeating each various group on its own territory. Remark, among other details, the expressions Zuzim Baham, like Ashtarot Karnaim and Vishavei Kiryatayim, indicate military terms and techniques rather than names of localities or tribes. So,
where are you reading that? Where are you?
Remark, after number 18.
Okay.
So he's saying this is not really what they were called. This is a description of them or how they were defeated.
That's like at the beginning of Dvarim.
Mm-hmm.
When they say those places, Lavan, and it doesn't mean...
Right, so if you go back to the Pasuk number 5...
That's where a lot of these names are mentioned again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in Dvarim at the beginning, because there's also, you know... You say, yeah, oh, you're up, good.
This is very clear to play Bashar Kanaim. It's not a place, it's a tactic.
Right.
Razim Baham. So these are all different tactics. So he defeated them with this tactic, with this tactic, with this tactic, as opposed to a physical place. Or a group in place.
Now, why did the four attack the five in the first place? He was world domination. That he did, right? He just wanted to take over.
Why does any group attack another group?
Well, land or I don't know.
Okay, so there you go.
So specifically, it's we're defining this as to follow Amraphel's plan, which is to be deniers of God. So he's trying to spread that philosophy and impose it on everybody else.
Wait, this is after the tower.
I understand.
Yeah, but okay.
This is the Nod, and this is what he does.
Right.
So he's trying to propagate that philosophy, and he has willing participants and he has non-willing participants. And if you're a non-willing participant, then he oppresses you until you manage to bend to his viewpoint. And once you rebel against him, he comes and he physically subdues you, and he has obviously the skill to do that. As we read through the sentence, we're going to notice that Uva Arba Asrei Shana, that phrase sort of fits together, and there's a pause. So on the 14th year, we're going to get what's going to come. Ba Kedar LaOmer, that phrase is going to sit by itself. That Kedar LaOmer, the war general was appointed, and he's going to come, and he's going to be the influence that's going to start to spread out. The Hamlachim Asher Ito, and the others who are also going to do their little bit. They're going to do it their own way, but they're going to do it with the same intent. Vayaku et Rifa'im b'Ashtarat Karnaim, they use this one tactic. V'etzuzim, and the fast people, they're going to do a different. Beham, those people who are influenced by psychological warfare, he's going to do those. V'ethaimim, and those people who are terrified, he's going to meet them. Bishaveh, he's going to match you force for force, tactic for tactic. Kiryatayim, doesn't matter if you're split up, he's going to get both. He's going to get both groups. So we've got lots of little pauses here, and each one of them is saying that there's a different tactic for each group at a different time and a different person who's influencing. So hopefully that will come out when we read it. Uvar ba Esrei Shana ba Kedar LaOmer v'hamalachim asher ito vayaku et Refaim v'Ashtarot Karnayim v'Etazuzim v'Ham v'Et Haimim v'Shavei Kiryatayim.
I think I have an insight into the name. If I go by the name, Kadur, it's obviously Kadur LaOmer or something like that, right? So Kadur is you see this ball, and Omer, like, it's something that keeps getting, like a sheaf. It keeps getting. He's basically rolling over everybody like a ball and gathering up all these different people to make one big Omer.
A rolling stone gathers no moss.
Gathers no moss, but it's the opposite of that. Here he will gather moss. And that's why I didn't mention that expression, because it goes against what I'm saying. But in this case, so no moss, but he'll gather something else. Like the impetus of that ball rolling, it's like like a snowball, yeah. Snowballs. Right. And it gives it, so there you have it, Kadur La Omer. He's getting more and more for this sheep. More people on his side.
It's maybe more the other thing. It's maybe something that's got momentum and the willingness to move against something that is loosely bound together and has no and offers no resistance.
But he's getting them off.
He's not gathering them up. He's bowling through.
Bowling
them.
over. Well, so where does the Omer come in now? But an Omer is
an Omer is a loose gathering of something that can easily be split apart.
But bowling, Kadur La Omer. He's throwing a ball at the Omer, the pile of, and bowling through it.
I think that's maybe closer to if you want to make a reference.
No, but I'm connecting it back to the Migdal. They wanted to be one. He's a megalomaniac, this Nimrod guy, and he wants to get everyone under. He doesn't want separate states here and there. He's getting everyone into one big pile.
He's crushing all resistance, and he doesn't care if he kills them all or if he gets these people to join him anymore. This is not recruitment. This is slash and burn.
Okay.
So he recruited before. That's what the four are. And now he's finished recruiting, and anybody who's left who wasn't recruited, he's just going to, after if they chose to rebel, they're gone.
He wants their land, anyway. He just wants to.
Well, I just want them out of the way. It's more. The land is incidental.
He just wants them out of the way, so they won't rebel.
It's opposition. And if you stand in opposition, you're done. I'll kill you. If I get the land, that's nice. That's why I pay my soldiers. But from his perspective, he just wants the opposition blown away.
Anyone can name their kid Nimrod in Israel. That's it.
We're going to try and get two more sentences in. Vetachori with a tifcha, backwards facing note with a pause afterwards.
These guys are definitely mentioned because later by Esau.
After Kedar Omer secured his rear flank, clearing out the rebel forces there, he proceeded southward until he made contact with various tribes and with the Hori, a mountainous clan which operated by surprise, as if coming out of a hole, Hor, hence they are Hori, the ones who would pop out of the hole, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. Again, these are just others so if you tried to ambush him, he knew how to counter that. Behararam, on their mountain hills.
What were we called the Hori again? Say it with the Hor. I couldn't find it.
Hori is from Hor, hole. So these are people who would pop out of a hole. So who would try to ambush his troops, but he knew how to deal with them as well. Backwards looking. He had a tactic for them as well.
What do you mean backwards looking? Because a Hor is oh, I think you meant a Hor. No. That could also be Aleph false something.
Yes. On their mountain hills with a munach. So this is something that's separated from what's come from before and going to move forward afterwards. Exercising in the hilly area on their mountain hills, they received experience in making surprise attacks, and they too offered their ground as a training area for rebels, as indicated by the shape of the reading mark. So the Hori are sort of your guerrilla fighters, if you will, or your ambush fighters, and they had terrain that perhaps they could try to use to their advantage, and yet Seir of Seir with the stabilizing at Nachtah. Thus, the mountainous grounds of Seir became a breeding nest for the rebellion, receiving there the necessary practice for actions as shown by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. So the rebellion seems to have this place where everybody can learn guerrilla tactics. Ad, till, so this is a yativ. So you'll notice that the note is sitting there before even the first vowel. So yativ is a backwards looking note with a pause afterwards. It's saying this is connected to what's come from before, and then we got to think about it. Hence the reason of its placement, that it sits there all alone, and you have a pause after you read it. Thus, the mountainous grounds of Seir. So this is not a mapach. This is not a focusing or narrowing note that moves forward into something else. This is a separating note. Thus, the mountainous grounds of Seir.
No, that's 3. Don't you want Ad?
Ad.
Right, but you're reading
4.
You're reading 3.
4. Meanwhile, Darla Omer continued his offensive advances, proceeding till complete clearance of rebels was achieved, along with their installations for training facilities, as stressed by the shape of the reading book. So even though that's what they were doing, that was the end of it. So when he came, it was over. El, with a munach, so this is again separated from what's come from before and moving forward into what's coming afterwards. His forces arrived in the south, destroying all inhabited places called El, as denoted by the shape of the reading mark. And I'm not quite sure.
The place is called El Paran, right? I mean, I
Well,
know
no,
there's a separate note, but...
So, right, Aya was a ram. So obviously there's more than one place called El, right? Because he's saying all places called El. But I don't know, it doesn't immediately come to mind of any other places called El. Paran, with the two-part katon. Systematically, Kedar Omer kept up his pressure even when he reached the vast land of Paran. This was to assure that Paran did not provide a refuge for any of the rebels, as pointed out by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So even people who are trying to run away from the area that he was attacking, he had a plan to deal with them as well.
Paran, where does Paran come up later? In
Midbar
Bar
Paran.
Sinai, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're in Sinai now? That's really far stretching.
Also the Cheryl and Midbar. But it might not be the same Midbar. It's not impossible to have the same name in two different places.
So he's just saying that this is a vast land. He doesn't define exactly where it is. Asher, that, with the tipcha backwards looking and pause slightly afterwards, since it was located south of the troubled area, it was invaded for search of any possible survivors of the resistance, as suggested by the reverse inclination of the direction. So yes, he's gone through the whole country, and he's even combing the desert to make sure nobody managed to escape, who can come back and start the rebellion again. Al Hamidbar, over the desert, with the stabilizing Sof Pasuk, having passed Paran without finding any traces of the uprising, Kedar Omer stopped over the desert and organized a pullback. So he's gone completely through the country. He's got no more people who seem to be part of the revolt.
Irresistible.
And then he's going to make his way back. So as we read through the sentence with the pauses overemphasized, we're going to notice that the Chori, which defines the group, so i.e. those who are going to fight by guerrilla tactics, the Hararam Seir, even though their place seems to be a good place to breed that type of tactic, Ad, when he came, it all disappeared. El Paran, these type of places, Asher, again with a pause before and afterwards, so even anybody who's trying to escape isn't going to escape. And finally, when he sees that he's completely cleared the land, he can regroup and come back and decide what he was really going to do once he's conquered everything. Betachori behararam seir ad el paran asher al hamidbar. And you see, when you have such a small sentence with so many pausing notes, why the Perush starts to make a lot more sense. Because you've got all of those pauses, and when you overemphasize them, you realize that all of these words are standing alone. So you really have to do something with them. So when you give it an overemphasized pause, all of a sudden you start to see the validity of what's going on here.
That here,
That
and here,
each,
and here, and
that
here, and
each
here.
word is really getting its own sentence, especially in a sentence like this where they're all malachim, they're all notes that have that pause after them.
No pun intended, because malach, there's no, that's malach with an aleph, but this is
No,
yeah.
this is melech. This is from king.
Oh, it is from not malach.
Yes.
No, but it's also, you're saying it mirrors the sound of it almost. You can almost see the battle going from this place and this place and this
Yeah.
place and this place. Yeah,
Mhm.
It's all a setup, because when Avram comes, as powerful as this guy is and running over everybody, he's no match for Avram.
Oh, but that's the point. That's exactly the point.
That's why yeah. No, but the Torah is going to so much detail, and we know this way. Like it's like that what time movie? Isn't that the Raiders of the Lost Ark when the guy says he knows karate and Harrison Ford just like with all his fancy moves.
Pulls out a gun.
Yeah. So that's it's reminding you of this when Avram's going to come along. So Harrison Ford is Avram.
Okay.
14:7. We're at the top of page 53. Here we have the Tlisha Gdolah. So you notice before we had the Tlisha Ktana, which moved us forward, was a connecting note. This is the Tlisha Gdolah. Connects to what come from before. Pauses afterwards before you get into the rest of the sentence.
So wait, just review, why is this like a Gdolah? Because the Gdolah, what's bigger about it?
It's separating itself from its own context. It's separating itself from its own sentence.
The sentence is going to come now.
That's going to come now.
Right.
This word is going to be separate from the rest of it, of the context that it's supposed to be in.
Of what's going to follow.
Klisha Ktana.
Yeah.
Okay, there's really a separation from the last sentence, but it's separating you even a little bit more from the last sentence. But it's in its own context. It's connected to its own sentence.
Whereas this is, it's like
Whereas
a string
this
in
is-
its own sentence.
This
Or
is
it's separate.
sort of, this word almost is part of the last sentence, but it's still in this sentence. Vayashuvu, and they returned. Darla Omer with his associates victoriously accomplished their mission by totally defeating the uprising, and they returned to the north in order to uncover quiet supporters and instigators of the revolt, as indicated by the shape and placement of the reading mark. I'm just trying to think where he puts quotes around the phrase "quiet supporters." There's got to be a World War II context to him using that phrase. I don't know, because there are all sorts of World War II references that are spread through here. So I'm sure that that's a term that's used somewhere.
There should be like a footnote for that.
Vayavo, and they came with an Azlagerish. This is the part of Kadma V'Azla, but just the Azla part. Backwards looking, pause after it.
He came and Garash that's up. It's like
And-
that. Okay.
And they came. Number 2, while going back, they predilected collateral routes next to the uprising, and they came through various settlements to discover sympathizers of the rebellion, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. So as he's retracing his steps, he not only goes the same path that he went, he goes along all of the collateral routes, and he mops up anybody who's there as well.
This was that cliche, but so you said that it's a bigger separation from its own. So
From
how
its
do you
own
fit that in
sentence.
there? In that, so what's the separation then? The Yeshuva?
Yeshuva, and they returned. I mean, that's
So,
its own story.
he's saying he went to the desert. He literally went all the way through the land, decided that he was going to come back. So we've already got Al Hamidbar, when we looked at number 8 from the sentence before, he's already organizing a pullback. He's already coming back there. And then Vayashuvu,
Coming
and
back
they came
to-
back. He went through the entire land. He went from north to
Right.
south,
And
went
that's the
through,
desert, yeah.
and when he gets to the desert, he knows he's going to come back.
Right.
Vayashuvu, and they came back. That word Vayashuvu is connected more to Al Hamidbar than it is to this sentence. They already said he's going to come back, and he came back. So that's the connection, that it's tied to what came from before, even more strongly than what's going to go forward. What's going to go forward is what he's going to do once he's back in the land. But his coming back is tied to the last sentence, that he went all the way through, made a screeching halt and decided it's time to come back. El Ein, to the Ein of, with a mapach. This is a note that gathers things and focuses them. At first, they brought suspected organizer and activists for questioning to Ein, an eye, of special investigators to obtain the necessary information as shown by the shape of the reading mark. So he's going to literally round people up and interrogate them. He's going to put them under the eye, under the interrogation microscope, mishpat, of judgment, again with a forward-looking note. So subsequently, a mishpat, a judgment, was pronounced by the military tribunal, consistent with the severity of the case as stressed by the directional shape of the reading mark. He's going to look at all of these spies and collaborators, and he's going to deal harshly with them, and he's going to take the information that they gave. He, with a munach, separate from the word before, moving forward into a new reality. As soon Kedar Omer reached the first suitable location, which permitted the investigation, it was established without delay, and as denoted by the shape of the reading mark. Once he came to a conclusion, he immediately executed his plan. Kadesh, with a revi'i, so some broadness to this note. Kadesh, located close to the Paran Desert, appeared to be an appropriate place for the procedural agenda, as pointed out by the bipartite shape of the reading mark.
Is the Kadesh like Kadesh Barnea?
Okay, so this is a katon, not a revi'i. That makes more sense. That's a katon. That should be 2 dots, not 1. And I'm sure that's correct because it sticks in my mind that it's a katon, not a revi'i. So if you want to make an extra dot in your book, you certainly can. So here he's going to take those people who he's taken information from and use that information and make a judgment, good or bad, thumb up or thumb down. Vayaku, and they smashed.
Is that the same note on Vayaku as was the last Vayaku or no?
No. I'm thinking this is a Zakef Gadol, but I'm going to confirm
the
that.
last one was I can't see it. The last one was on Mapach, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and this one's what?
I'm pretty sure that it's a Zakef Gadol.
What is the Cape Breton? This one?
Zakef Gadol. But I will tell you
I can't
for
see
sure, because it is a little difficult to read here. 14.7.
I think it looks like a revi'i, but it's not, right?
Yes, Zakef Gadol. So Zakef Gadol is the 2 dots from the Zakef Katon with a line beside them, so a triple parted note with more than one influence and separation from what's going to go forward. During the inquiry, it became obvious to the punishing expedition that other tribes had participated indirectly in the uprising, and they smashed those sources as suggested by the shape shape of the related reading mark. So those people who have also aided and abetted, he now came back and destroyed those groups as well. Et kol sedeh, with all field of, with the tikha, backwards looking note, pause after it. Not only did they destroy the rebels and their accomplices, but also they seized their weapons, supplies, and utensils, with all field of storage and facilities, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. So he's literally cleaning up everything that is possible to take out of the country. Ha'amaleki, the Amalekian. Amalekian. All right. As a result, with the stabilizing etnachta, as a result, the threat of the Amalekian was completely abolished, in spite of the fact that they were known as giants and dangerous warriors, as expressed by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. So even though these might have been a powerful adversary, he had taken away everything surrounding them that might have supported them, so they knew that they could not win. Vigam, and also with the Pashta, forward-looking. After the investigation, the goal of the Amalekian was extended, and also other helpers of the revolt were discovered, as illustrated by the directional reading marks. And anybody else who joined in, et ha'emori, with the emori, with the zakef katon on it, pausing or separating part of the munach, followed by the two-part katon. Collaboration of the rebels with the emori was readily discovered, as specified by the directional, by the different types of the two reading marks. So those people who were also helping